Hey you, it's another beautiful day. Let's watch some stuff.
The next thing for Karens to get up in arms about at restaurants is officially here. This is tough because I love the suggested tip. It's when you're signing a check, that is the greatest gift anyone could give you is the numbers. But it appears restaurants are now lying about what percentage to put under the tip. Genius move by them. For those bad at math, me, 15% of $20 is $3, not $5. They're advertising here. Suggested tip, 15% would be $5. I mean, I would fall for this 10 out of 10 times, even if you told me to watch out for it. You could honestly put that 15% of $20 would be $10, and I'd still fall for it. I mean, my brain is just on autopilot when I go to sign checks. If they have a suggestion there, that's what I go with. Now, hold the jokes. I am more of a 20% guy, but even when they say 20% here, that's not actually 20% of $20. And I believe in tips. That's not the issue here. I'll tip 25%. But I like having the suggestion, and I don't like hearing that restaurants are now lying about it. So will I check it? No. I'm just going to keep doing the suggestion. So honestly, put whatever you want there for me, restaurants. I'm just going to use your math, honestly.
I admire his honesty. I've definitely been in that situation where maybe I had a few drinks with my meal and I'm just like, that looks like a good amount. We'll go ahead and do that. Now that I'm thinking about it, I have seen a lot of videos of this lately where restaurants are just like, oh, they're saying it's 15% because nobody's going to look at the bottom part of it. So it's like they're taking advantage of this situation, which is pretty shady and underhanded, and I can totally see Karen's getting up in a tizzy all about, hey, this is not 15%. But
so if you don't know who this man is, his name is Eric Hecker, and he's a whistleblower who supposedly worked as a contractor in Antarctica in 2010 to 2011. And he's made some wild claims as to what's really going on in Antarctica.
You were in the South Pole from 2010 to 2011. Let's talk about what you were doing down there.
You got it.
What were you doing down there?
I was contracted for the summer season as a plumber. I did well enough in my summer season to garner a winter contract as well, which got me my full year's stay. I was also tasked with being a firefighter. I was a lead on the firefighting team, and because of that dual role capacity, I physically held a key that opened every single door in the facility. I had complete access to every compartment they manufactured.
Now, one thing that's really strange to me is if he was there as a plumber and a firefighter, why in the world would they give him full access to a facility that would probably require the highest security clearance to even enter the building? But let's continue the video.
What are you blowing the whistle on?
That there are technologies at the South Pole Station that people can't even consider that exist on this planet.
Like what?
Directed energy weapon systems is something that people need to get in their vocabulary fast. The ice cube neutrino detector is not simply a passive listening device as presented for the science that they're claiming it to do. It also has the capacity to transmit. There are embedded in the ice what are called digital optical modules, DOMs. They're about the size of a basketball. The array embedded in the ice is 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer. It is the world's largest telescope. And now, because we have proven that it can transmit, it's the world's largest directed energy weapons system. It is responsible for the earthquakes in Christchurch, New Zealand in 2011 on the front end of the year.
So if what Eric is saying is true, then this energy system is probably just scratching the surface of what is really going on in Antarctica.
I am just a little bit skeptical of this whistleblowing just because he's a plumber. You're not going to get keys to super secret rooms as a plumber. And as a plumber and a firefighter, I still don't think that would necessarily qualify somebody to get top secret admission to super duper secret areas, right? Maybe the chief of firefighting would get keys to other, unauthorized access areas, but I find that a little difficult to believe. I did find this information on what he was actually talking about, and it's interesting.
Hiked out to the Ice Cube Neutrino Observatory. Let's head inside. This is the biggest scientific project going on here at the South Pole, and it's basically built so we can detect high energy particles, neutrinos, that originate from outside our solar system. This right here is what one of the optical detectors looks like. There are over 5,000 of these buried over a mile deep in the ice right below us. So right now, I'm right outside the server room at Ice Cube Laboratory. I've got to wear an electrostatic discharge jacket to make sure I don't shock any of the components in there. So all this data comes up through these cables, through the towers on each side of Ice Cube, comes through here, gets fed into the servers. I've just hiked out to the ice.
All right, so there's those basketball-sized devices, and he says there's hundreds of them buried about a mile underneath the ground or in the ice. And I don't know how those can be used to cause earthquakes, but I'm not a scientist, and I mean hundreds of them sending some kind of transmission to where and why? Is it just to like disrupt an economy or something like that, or is it just a test, and why is that necessary? I'm a skeptic about this particular theory and this whistleblower. I really think that they're just monitoring devices. Hey, thanks so much for stopping by. If there's a topic you'd like me to cover, please let me know down in the comments below. If you're having a good time, hit that like button and consider subscribing, and then come back tomorrow because I'm making a new video every day.
I thought this hole was suspicious from Jump Street. I think it's even more suspicious now considering what I found today. Someone on my last video made a comment about a website that had the coordinates to this hole on it. So just for shiggles, I had to go and do a little look-see. So I found myself on IngersollLockwood.com. And at first it looked just like a military industrial complex kind of vibe, but the deeper I got, the more culty-ish it got. And the reason I say that is because it's named Ingersoll Lockwood after a author and lawyer in the 1800s/1900s. And these are some of the writings that he did. They considered him a prophet and a genius of his time, so much so that they named their entire corporation after him. They've worked with Space Force, and their homework was the Book of Enoch. It gets even weirder when you keep going deeper, because not only do you realize that, yeah, they do work with government agencies and they support NSA, NASA, Space Force, things like that. There's little hidden messages throughout this entire website, like this 4 right here in 5784. If you click on it, it will take you to a page about the Ark of the Covenant. If you click on this C right here, it will take you to a YouTube video of Ring of Fire for Johnny Cash. There's also a little white rabbit that if you click on it, it takes you to a YouTube video of Mary Poppins. A lot going on this website. But the one thing I did not see was anything about our suspicious hole. So I did a little bit more digging on the internet, and I found the old article talking about it. The article that I was able to get my hands on was from the Washington Post newspaper, and it was talking about all the secret areas that Hitler would go and hide and what the US was taking seriously. Inside of that article were these coordinates to a base in Antarctica. So I put the coordinates in Google Earth, and we are at our suspicious hole. Now, how I went from a suspicious hole to a website that was super sketchy and giving cult vibes to Hitler living in this hole, I don't really know, but I made it there, and I'm glad you were here.
What a crazy route she took, and an interesting website. I don't know how like the Book of Enoch and Johnny Cash and Ingersoll Lockwood all come together. It's just an interesting, combining of things. It does make me think of Operation High Jump. We've talked about it a couple times, where Admiral Byrd flew over Antarctica and they lost him for like 2.5 hours, and he supposedly landed in an area that was run by Germans and aliens, and it was fantastic. So that is definitely interesting about that little hole being there and it being linked to Nazi Germany.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
I don't know if I left this in because I needed a bit of nostalgia, because when I was young, we learned about 4 types of clouds. There was only 4 types of clouds, all the way until I got out of school. Apparently, in the last couple years is when we discovered that there's 10 types of clouds. And I understand that as we progress, we learn more. They're learning about our atmosphere and the different layers of it and the effects it has on moisture and causes these different cloud formations. It's fantastic. I think the point I needed was a lot of the stuff that I learned in school is no longer accurate. Everything has changed. And what's crazy is until I saw this video, I thought that there was only 4 types of clouds. It's just everything is progressing and things are different. And if you're not constantly looking for information, you're getting left behind. And it kind of sucked a little.
Barbie has a much creepier history than I thought. I'm going to show you some theories about Barbie that have been keeping me up at night. And I cover all sorts of creepy and true crime stuff, so follow along. In 2010, Barbie released a doll that had a camera on her necklace as well as a video screen on her back. This doll has since been discontinued, but there's a lot of rumors about what happened to this footage when it was recorded. So people have always theorized that the footage was collected and sold either by Mattel or by someone more nefarious. And it's been mentioned how easy it would have been for hackers to collect and sell all this data. The FBI even put out a statement about it. Barbie also released and discontinued the Hello doll, which could listen to children and respond with over 8,000 pre-recorded answers. A lot of parents worried that these dolls were potentially recording their children and then selling that data, but this doll also has really concerning reviews. Like, people say that the doll won't take no for an answer. Like, if she asked if you wanted to hear a story and then you said no, she would actually push back and then just tell you the story anyways. And the doll would also ask really specific and targeted questions about children, like how big their families were and if they had any siblings. Was this doll just collecting market data on children, or was it something much weirder?
All right, so I actually have an extensive Barbie collection. Dating back to 1991, I have all of the holiday Barbies through like 2003, even the years where they were really hard to get. I have a couple of each of those, and a lot of the Barbies in between. But I wish I had those ones because those are creepy as hell. Why did Mattel need to make spy Barbies?
This QAnon cult that thinks JFK is alive has a new leader, a 13-year-old girl. This QAnon cult thinks that former U.S. President John F. Kennedy, who was famously assassinated in 1963, is still alive. And that might not be the weirdest thing about it. It's now led by a 13-year-old girl known as Tiny Teflon. Michael Protzman, the original leader of this cult, gained national attention when he convinced around 1,000 of his followers to travel from around the country to downtown Dallas, saying that JFK and his son JFK Jr. were going to appear there. Obviously, the Kennedys did not show up. But many of Protzman's followers remained loyal and followed him across the country for 18 months. Some of them destroyed their families and their finances in the process. When Protzman died after a dirt bike accident in June, the families of the cult members hoped it would disband so that their loved ones would finally return home. But now they have a new leader, 13-year-old Tiny Teflon. According to a Vice News investigation, Protzman appeared to have groomed the girl as his protege, hosting her on his live chats with tens of thousands of followers. It's not clear how Protzman and the teenager knew each other, but her mother is a member of the cult. Tiny Teflon has now created her own channel, hosted live streams with her followers, and most worryingly of all, has announced plans to indoctrinate even more children into the cult.
Almost everything about that video was absolutely disturbing. But that's how cults work. They make you leave everything that you had behind. Anything that doesn't believe what you are believing in, you go away from it. But that destroyed a lot of families. And then to groom a child to take over, what the actual F? Oh my God. And then wanting to recruit more children? That's just, leave the children out of it. Leave the children out of it. Adults who can make their own decisions, yes, I totally understand, but leave the children out of it.
California just said that they're going to start taxing people per mile you drive. And literally all you can blame for this are electric cars. So for many years, California collected billions of dollars in gas taxes. It funds bridges and road maintenance, and it's most of the reason why California has the most expensive gas in the country. There's an epidemic in California that is killing that gas tax and slaughtering all their profits. That epidemic is also known as electric cars. There's over 1 million EVs on the road in the state of California already. That means the gas tax revenue is dropping by the day. The state estimates that they can lose over $4.4 billion in gas tax revenue over the next 10 years. To address that chasm, California is introducing a new pay per mile tax. Right now, it's in a testing phase, but it's going to cost drivers 3 cents per mile they drive in the state of California. I mean, that is egregious. The state was all gung-ho on electric vehicles when they first came out, and so were drivers. But now they're losing money, so they have to find a way to bleed your pockets anyway. If you live in California, you might already be on your way out, but if you need another reason, here you go.
I'm going to try and keep this concise because I've already deleted several recordings of me going on a rant, and I just get so heated about this topic because the governor of California in 2022 announced that he wants all of California vehicles by 2035 to have zero emissions, which means they all need to be electric vehicles. So he set this ball in motion, and now they're charging everybody because of his stupid rule that millions of people followed because we have so freaking many electric cars. And, oh, it looks like it kind of blew up in your face there, buddy. Not only that, but diesel vehicles, he's trying to get rid of them because now we have to have this DEF system. It's like diesel exhaust fluid system, which is the dumbest thing ever. It's just more money. I have to put more crap in my truck. Well, not my truck because I have an old truck, but our other truck. It has a DEF system and it's stupid as all get out. I hate it. I hate California. All right, that went a little longer than I wanted to, but it sure was a lot less than 3.5-minute rants that I went on before. I had to calm down a little bit because I'm so done with California. So done with California. On that note, I am so done with today. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me. Come on back tomorrow. We'll watch new stuff. I'm going to say some different things, and it's going to be fantastic. Until then, have a wonderful day.